Okay, I wanted to call to attention the Commission on Disabilities meeting scheduled for Monday, June 1st, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. My name is Mary Beth McGrath. I'm the Director of the Building and Health Department with the Town of Braintree. And with us this evening are Crystal Evans, Treasurer of the Commission on Disabilities, Mary Russo, Member of the Commission on Disabilities, and Robin Torpy, Recording Secretary for the Commission on Disabilities. Absent this evening is Lynn Valancourt. So if I could ask for a roll call to start the meeting. Crystal?
Crystal Evans, Treasurer.
Yes.
Mary Russo, Member.
Robin Torpy, Recording Secretary.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is also on the call, I do want to mention, is Christina Zaniti, our ADA Coordinator. The next item on the agenda are the approval of the minutes of December 9th, 2019. You should have received your packets via email to review those. And if you have completed and reviewed those, if I could ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And that's Crystal Evans making the motion. Is there a second?
Second, Mary Russo.
And now I need to ask for a roll call. Crystal?
Crystal Evans, aye.
Mary?
Mary Russo, aye.
And Robin?
Aye, but I was not present at the meeting.
Okay, but you did receive the meeting minutes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda are updates that would be provided by both Christina and myself. And the first is the Town of Braintree website, a COVID-19 response resources. And with the assistance of Christina Zaniti, our ADA Coordinator, and Crystal Evans, providing information and resources for our disabled community, we have been able to put in sections on the COVID-19 resource link, and that's done with the great help and assistance of Stephen Leary with the Mayor's Office, who's overseen that with us. Had put a link on there for resources for COVID-19 response and aid that can be provided for those with disabilities. Were there any questions or comments regarding that update?
No, I just want to say thank you very much to Stephen Leary and anyone that was involved. Great job.
Well, I do want to say that Stephen has been unbelievably helpful in all of the Town of Braintree website resources and information provided on COVID-19, and especially this. So we send a big thank you to Stephen for helping us with that. And the next item on the agenda, I'm sorry?
I just said outstanding job.
I'm glad that you like it. The next item on the agenda are the water wheel signs at Sunset Lake, and Christine is going to provide you an update on that.
Hi guys, you got the pictures of the sign that is near the slab where the chair would actually go, and then there was a sign on the front gate, I believe.
It's the fence right next to the gate.
Yes, I'm sorry. They were installed, I want to say in January or February, before the gates were closed due to COVID. They look beautiful. So if anyone has a chance to get out there just to look at at least the one on the fence, I think the gates are open. The company did a great job. Ben did a great job putting them up, or not Ben, but the highway workers did a great job putting them up as soon as they came in, and they're beautiful. So it was a great idea. They came out beautiful, and thanks for looking at the language of the signs and, you know, getting all that put onto it. So thank you.
Thank you, Christina. So just an update on the beach property. MEG, of course, has, in response to COVID-19, has reopened the parks and open spaces. He has opened the Sunset Lake parking lot area for residents to go and enjoy that area. And also the beachfront, as long as there aren't any individual gatherings of more than 10 people and social distancing is being followed. As far as the beach itself, it's yet to be determined whether or not that is going to be open for the summer. Mayor Kokoris, as the phasing for reopenings is starting to occur, he will be reviewing all of the state guidance and making a determination on town level whether the beach will be opened or not. So I have no idea whether it will be the beach, actually water for swimming, will be opened for this summer. As of this time, the answer is no, but that could change as we move further into the summer. And the next, are there any questions on the signage? They did come out very nice. As you can see by the pictures, there are no leaves on the trees, so they were set early on in the winter when the highway department did have the opportunity and time to be able to do that for us, where it wouldn't interfere with other activities that they would normally be doing at this time of the year.
I think we lost Mary.
I believe we lost Mary. Let me see if I can get her on the phone.
Okay.
Hi, Mary? Yes, I have you on my phone. So if you want to stay on my phone, you're on speaker, so that would also tie into the Zoom meeting. Stephen, would that be okay?
I can what happened was that they put into the driveway and my phone must have picked up the Bluetooth and just got disconnected.
Sorry, Steve had to step away for a second.
Died,
Hold
so
on one second,
I
Rebecca.
clocked in, but it kept telling me.
Mary's on the phone. Is that going to be okay? If she's not.
Mary, let me see if we can keep you on my speakerphone so we don't lose you again, and if that's considered acceptable through the Zoom meeting. If you can hang on a minute. No worries.
So, okay, so Mary is here via speakerphone on your end, Mary Beth?
She's on my cell phone via speakerphone. Is that okay through the Zoom
Yeah,
meeting, Stephen?
Yeah, that's okay, as long as when the, as long as she can be heard when the roll call votes are taken,
Okay.
that's fine.
Okay, so I believe everyone can hear Mary speaking. If everyone can just, Mary, just say a couple words and we can make sure everyone can hear you.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for understanding.
Is everyone all set? They can hear her?
She's muffled.
Can you a little bit?
Mary, can you talk again?
Yep. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, that's better.
Is that better? Okay. Okay.
And I'll make sure I talk loud.
Okay. So the next agenda item are the finances, which are the accounts that we have for the Commission on Disabilities. So expenditures, the most recent expenditures would have been for the sensory bags, which were still, Rob Millette with BEMA is still putting those together with COVID-19 and the incidence of that since February. That has not been necessarily an easy task for him to be able to get the items because there are other things, of course, on back order that were in relation to COVID-19. So he is back on track getting some more items for the sensory bags. And once he completes those, then he will be getting them to the first responders, the police department and fire department, for so that they would have them in the stations and the trucks that they'll use them for. The handicap parking funds are around $45,000. I have not been able to connect directly with Mark Lynn as they've been working remotely. And but last account was around just over $45,000. What I do expect to come out of that account are the additional funding items for the remaining things that Rob Millette is getting for the sensory bags, which probably would amount, I don't really know. He's just recently submitted me some invoices that will be placed on this payroll and invoice vouchering, so I can have a better idea next meeting what the expenditures were in total for him. But I know that the board may remember that you did approve him to spend up to $1,500 for the preparation and purchase of the items for the sensory kits.
Yeah, what he had sent us, that I had sent to you all, it's around $1,200 right now. And I actually saw him this morning, and he has partial parts of everything except for 3 items. But the new thing that he did order was the Melissa and Doug blocks. So those are ordered. And he has, from the stuff that I had sent you, the things with why all of those items have been purchased. The things with P, that's partial. And then the blank, the items haven't been ordered yet. But he is confident that they will, all the items will be in soon, and he'll order the stuff that hasn't been ordered yet. And the sensory bags will be put together sooner than later. He did mention that the wobble cushions, I guess when he was originally looking at the price, it might have been like a sale price. So he recently went back on the site that he had first looked at, and the prices have increased greatly. So I told him I would look around as well, reach out to my OT, PT friends from my teaching days to see if they know any sites or stores that might, you know, lower the price if we buy in bulk.
Mary
Excellent.
Beth?
Yes. This is Robin speaking.
Yes, it is, Mary Beth. I have 3 cases of bottles of sodium chloride, which is used to clean wounds, that were sent to me after my husband passed from the nursing supply thing. Could they use it? Because I don't know what to do with it. The cases haven't even been opened. And the
Well,
bottles are all...
I don't suggest that those be made part of a sensory bag for children, but certainly we can talk offline, Robin, about potential uses for those supply items that you have.
Okay, thank you, Mary Beth. Sorry to
Thank you.
intrude.
No. Thank you for the information. So we have seen a few of the items that Rob has purchased for the sensory bags, and they're very nice. The bags are coming along nicely. He's put a lot of thought and effort into it. So we're really looking forward to them being completed and then provided to the first responders for children. Any other questions or comments regarding the sensory bags?
No, does he need any help putting anything together that could help him out with, Mary Beth, or does he have it under control?
He appears to have it under control, and I very much think that he enjoys doing it, but I can certainly put the offer out there if he needs assistance, that you are offering that assistance.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
The next item is item number 4, plastic bag ban bill discussion. And member Crystal Evans had requested that this be put on the agenda. I do want to make a note that the matter has been placed on hold at the state level due to the COVID-19 and some changes that have been made as regards to the response to COVID-19. But Crystal, if you wanted to discuss this before the members.
Okay, that's good. Basically, I'm seeing a lot of bag bans happening in the greater Boston area, which have literally been reversed because of COVID, and I'm like, yay. But plastic bag bans can be extremely detrimental for those with physical disabilities. People who use mobility devices like canes or walkers may struggle to carry the paper bags like what Shaw's provides, especially those without a handle, because it can really throw your balance off. Plastic bags are a lot easier to tie around like walker handles or loop around your wrist as you walk with a cane. Wheelchair users also struggle in different aspects depending on their chair type. Paper bags just don't work for many people, especially those that are disabled and also walking to stores rather than driving, where you're not just loading a car, you have to carry everything back to a bus stop. They can be an absolute nightmare in the rain as well, the paper bags. So I want to make sure that this is brought up from a disability angle before we truly consider stuff like this. They sell the reusable bags for 99 cents, but those don't work well for like wheelchair users, for instance. The handles on them are made to go over a shoulder. So if you put them on the back of your wheelchair, manual chairs can't use them at all. And I'm a former manual wheelchair user when I say that. But power chairs, the bags are so long, the wheels will tear the whole bottom of the bag open. Plastic bags are much shorter, and they don't stick out as bad as these reusable standard ones that you find at like Shaw, Stop and Shop, Walgreens, stuff like that. So by banning plastic bags in our community, it can actually be very detrimental for people with disabilities to be able to go get what they need from stores and go home. The only comparable bag I have found to a plastic bag runs $15 a piece. So while everybody else might be able to grab a 99-cent bag at the store and spend $3, these nylon bags that I have, I should have grabbed one, are 15 a piece, and it takes about 5 to equal what the others are. So, I mean, it's a price of like $75 for me to carry groceries home in a reusable bag versus other people being able to spend $3 for a better bag, which is huge when you're dealing with people on Social Security, retirement income, stuff like that. I think it's something that we need to be really cautious before approving as a town. Stroke, people that are stroke survivors, anything like that. It's like, it's just, it makes a bigger ordeal. I know that homeless people in Boston have brought these issues up. Another side of this is also the poverty side. People that rely on food stamps will not cover the cost of bags at a store. You have to pay out of pocket, and not everybody may have the money to be paying for bags at the grocery store. It's just another, you have to have the change to pay. The food stamp card does not cover that price of a bag. And that's come up in Boston, Cambridge, Somerville, as they did the bag bans, and people that are low income are suddenly like, hey, what about us? Now we're paying for bags out of pocket because food stamps doesn't cover. So,
well, I do know that I believe it was Town Councilor O'Brien, I'm not positive of that he was considering bringing forward some sort of a bill or discussion on this matter through and with the recycling committee. But of course, it's all been put on hold with COVID. Yeah. So I think that moving forward, we need to see where the state goes with reversing what has been changed with COVID, and then see what the town's plan was.
Yeah, I mean, there's other environmental sides of this that aren't disability, which don't pertain to the commission, but it actually requires a lot more energy to recycle a paper bag than a plastic bag. A lot of people don't realize that. And the production of the cheap reusable bags, studies have shown you need to use them between 121 and 170 something times to make it worth the production cost. Or the environmental impact to offset the impact. And I mean, obviously now with COVID, they don't want reusable bags in stores, but it's, I mean, there's environmental sides of this that people think it's doing the right thing. I went to school for environmental science and health, actually. So we hashed this stuff out like 10 years ago as for impacts of stuff like this. And Europe's done a lot of studies around it. And another side of this is communities that have banned the plastic bags instead increase their plastic bag sales for trash bags. People reuse their grocery bags as trash bags at home. So it increases those sales, and that plastic is thicker than the disposable trash bags or the grocery bags from the grocery store. So plastic actually increases by about 4 times in communities where they've done studies of plastic bag bans impacting the increase of plastic trash bag sales. So it's not.
Well, I think this is definitely going to be a topic in the future, not only at the state level, but also at the local level. So as we get closer to that, maybe the commission can consider some sort of a letter that would go to the town council based on when they would be discussing it and your thoughts.
Yeah. It was originally on an agenda for a subcommittee in February, but then they had tabled it for some reason, and then COVID hit, so.
Right, so we're kind of in the holding pattern until we see where COVID goes, and then the reversal at the state level, and then down to the local level. So we'll keep the commission posted on where that stands as we know moving forward. Okay. The other thing that wasn't on but we can bring this up under other matters is, or excuse me, before I start that, did Robin or Mary have any comments, questions, concerns around the plastic bag matter?
I agree with, I'm sorry, it's Robin. I agree with Crystal because I know the problem I have, and unfortunately I have my 2 hands to carry something, but I always liked paper and plastic because paper gave it strength and plastic made it easy to hold, but now they're only doing plastic bags. And unless they come up with something with a handle, maybe out of some hemp or, some broadcloth or something that can be attached to a bag for somebody in a wheelchair, there has to be a way because we can't take away that right, for somebody to try to do the shopping, and they have to pay for a bag you can only use once because you can't reuse them now. I mean, it's crazy, but, we have to get past this COVID thing, and We have to make it easy for everybody, be a person in a wheelchair, a baby using a baby carriage or something. Like Crystal says, it's not fair to have people not being able to carry their groceries, and you can only get so much delivery, but you still have to bring it in the house. You know, so whatever they can do, and I know this is up on the state level because a lot of cities have already banned it, and that's ridiculous. I think you can't do that. It's like cutting people's hands off. I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm sorry.
No, we appreciate that. Mary, did you want to make some comment?
No, I mean, I think right now, until we get past the COVID and really know what the regulations are going to be, it's kind of hard to lean one way or the other right now. So I think we have to get past that first.
Right. Okay. So if that is all the discussion on this, then we can move forward. Under other matters, I did want to ask Christina to mention what the status of the grant submittal is that she had submitted back. Oh gosh, was it in February, Christina?
It was due April 1st.
ARP grant.
Go ahead, Christina.
So we started it in February. I think Crystal had forwarded the email and the link to me, and I had been looking into it. So thank you. So I just submitted it. It was originally due May 1st. They extended it with everything that's going on until May 15th, but we got it in on the original due date. So I met with Nelson Chin, Director of Park and Recreation, sorry. And we were talking about the park behind Town Hall in French's Common, about installing a poured rubber surfacing for the park at French's Common. So we got the measurements from engineering. So I wrote a grant with the help of our grant writer, Miss Lauren C. And we put together a grant for poured rubber surfacing for the installation of in the amount of $180,000. It's rubber surfacing, it's ADA compliant, it's accessible. We did a lot of research on this. So it took a lot of revisions to kind of get the grant to me perfect. Mary Beth looked at it, Lorraine C., our grant writer, looked at it. I spoke with Nelson a number of times. He was very, very helpful. So we submitted that on May 1st. And hopefully we will hear by, I think it's the end of June, because they want work to be started in July. I'm not really sure if they'll change that a little bit or alter it with everything that's going on right now. I know that's why they did extend the deadline for submittal from May 1st to May 15th. So keep checking my email and fingers crossed that we get it. I think it's a great grant and it would be a great addition to update that park.
Great. And I know that, Christina, you worked pretty closely with Jim Arsenault and Nelson
Yes.
to put it together. So we appreciate their help too. And stay tuned, because hopefully we should be receiving some notification, hopefully within this month, about whether or not we were successful in obtaining the grant.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So with that, that's all the items that we have on the agenda. We tried to keep it somewhat short this evening because we just wanted to check in with all of you. I know it's been a long last several months, in particular for my division. We are directly responsible and involved in the COVID response all together, communicable disease investigation, and all of the compliance and enforcement for all the phase reopenings. So we've been pretty busy, and some staff have been redirected. As you are all aware, Town Hall is closed to the public, and meetings are being held in this fashion via Zoom, and I do see that probably going forward, at least in the immediate future. I'm not sure when Town Hall will reopen to the public. So we're all trying to maneuver around a new and different way of working in this type of a setting with reduced staff, as well as the public, not being allowed into the building, and also continuing on the COVID response. As you may be aware, listening to the news, the governor is starting now to get into phase 2. So the department has been very active and involved in getting out the industry sector information to all of the establishments that would be impacted by that. And there'd be some changes to some of the establishments in the way that they operate. And I'm sure that you've heard a lot of that on the news. So as we receive all that information, it's been very busy getting it out to, you don't realize how many establishments we have in Braintree until you're involved in hand carrying this sort of thing to all the establishments. So it's a lot of work, but the town has, in my opinion, done a great job, and we appreciate Mayor Kokoris's leadership in doing that and assisting him through this somewhat challenging time. So, but we hope that all of you are doing well also through all of this, and your families are doing well too.
Can I ask a couple questions?
And everyone on the board, and I commend everybody because I think it's been a very difficult challenge, something that we've never faced before, and I think the town has done an outstanding job, and I commend you all because I know it takes a lot of time and dedication, a lot of thought process, and we're very grateful, so thank you.
No, we appreciate all of you being, kind of in the wings to answer questions and help us with things that we have, like Crystal with the resources. That was very helpful for the website. So
Yeah, if there's anything you need, I've got good connections to stuff at state level as well as the disability orgs doing some of this work.
yeah, we appreciate that.
And then, okay, when we're doing Zoom meetings, this is Crystal speaking, is closed captioning option, is the town utilizing that? Because it's an option within Zoom that they can enable for members of the public to be able to turn on.
Stephen, can I ask you to jump in on this, where you're much more familiar with Zoom than I am, if you're available?
Yeah, so Crystal, the question was about the captioning
Yep.
for Zoom meetings?
Yeah, I'm not seeing it on this meeting as an option. Are you doing this with town council meetings?
Yeah, so they are for, this, I apologize, I didn't have it an option for this meeting, but we are utilizing it for all of our boards and commissions meeting. I apologize, that's an oversight on my behalf for this meeting.
Okay, awesome. Second unrelated question, do we have any updates on the new benches we've been waiting on for 2 years?
The new benches, as you know, I know that the Parks Department, the Highway Department has been working on those with COVID response.
Yep.
There's absolutely a reduced staff in the DPW. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I figured.
There's been a couple years. Reduction. Yeah, there's been a complete reduction in staffing across the board with each of the departments in the town. And I know their department was pretty well impacted with that. So yeah, they're prioritizing their response needs, and I know it's on the list. When exactly it will be happening, I hope in the near future. I know that the purchase was made, but this is not a Commission on Disabilities item. This is a maintenance item for the town. So that's
we've got it on our agenda previously, which is why I was asking if there was any updates.
Right. So that's what I can tell you at this point. It's on their list of to-do things.
Okay.
I can bring it up tomorrow at our DPW meeting.
Great. Thank you, Christina.
I'm also curious, the grant Christina applied for that one park, what is the estimated cost to do that project?
For the poured rubber surfacing, it was 180,000.
Okay.
It was just for the cost of that.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
No, that's what I was curious, was what the quote of the rubber surface right there was for.
Say that one more time. I
was just curious what the quote for that specific park's rubber surfacing would be.
Yep. So when I was speaking with Nelson, he gave me the cost per square foot, I want to say, and then I talked to engineering, got the measurement from them. They did it immediately. Thank goodness. They did it so quickly. And then we just, figured out the cost from there.
Can I propose something to put on the next agenda?
Sure.
I'm wondering about Sunset Lakes Playground. Do they have any plans for improvements over there? And one of the improvements I was specifically thinking would be worth looking at from the commission standpoint would be adding a fence around the playground for safety, especially for kids prone to wandering. It's right next to a parking lot, right near a lake. Fencing that area off would be extremely beneficial for both kids, toddlers, kids with disabilities, you know, autistic kids. There's a lot of people with disabilities that in general, obviously is not happening this summer, but the concerts at the lake, there's a lot of people with intellectual disabilities, families that take their both minor children and adult children to that. And I'm thinking a fence there would be extremely beneficial for safety reasons. And also adding inclusive equipment there. There's none at all at that playground.
Okay, so we can check and find out from the DPW department where, if that particular playground is on an update in the future, and see where it is and what the proposal is for updates to it. And then something that the commission could consider if you did want to move forward on fencing and additional equipment is utilizing the handicap parking revenue funding that you have available to you for it. So we'll gather some information from the DPW department to bring that forward at the next meeting.
Okay, yeah, I have, I know there's certain equipment that could be added to the existing playground.
Mary, hang on a minute. Crystal speaking. Go ahead, Crystal.
There's certain equipment that could be added to the existing playground that, I forget what company it is. I've got their catalog, but actually it's probably like 3 feet from me right now. Not even. But it would just be like, I'm thinking some standalone items. They've got like musical instruments, which counts as sensory play, which would count into the ratios of inclusive play. They've got some like little seat things that you can put into the ground for kids to spin on, for kids with proprioception issues and sensory needs. Things like that are relatively inexpensive, like under $1,000 for those types of equipment to add in. And fencing, I know, is a huge deal. I just did a study for Tufts University that we're doing for Department of Public Health on the needs of parents with disabilities. And fencing came up with all the mothers as a safety issue about only wanting to take their kids to playgrounds that were fenced in. A blind parent brought it up from the perspective of needing her kids within that line of sight, so she would never take her children to an unfenced playground. And other parents in wheelchairs also mentioned the same, just because they need to be able to keep up with their kids. And then on the flip side, it's also a problem for kids that may wander. And I'm thinking that playground right there is right next to a parking lot, so close to a lake. If you're there with multiple kids, I mean, even neurotypical kids, you get your toddler running while you're trying to chase the other kid or push another kid on the swing. It's a lot to manage in that type of setup. It's very different than a lot of the other Braintree playgrounds. That's why I'm thinking that one would be a really good spot to work on improving safety and access.
Okay, yeah, we can do that. So we'll gather more information from DPW on what may be planned in the future for that location, and then also see if we can put together some estimates on things too for you.
Okay, yeah, I've gotten some quotes previously. I know I gave it to Kristen a few years ago from one of the vendor of the company that I'm thinking of. What is it? Is it Play Structures? Landscape Structures. And we already have playground equipment from this company in town. I know Hollingsworth is that same brand of equipment, and there's pieces at other parks from that company. But they've got some pretty inexpensive things. What is it?
Are you talking about the company on West Street?
No, they're not on West Street. It's a national, or it's an international playground supplier, but what is it? Emmy O'Brien is one of their distributors that covers our area.
Okay.
Which I know DPW has worked with, so.
Yeah, we can connect with DPW and Nelson and see what they may have.
Okay. And I co-chair a DPH board.
Before you jump in, Crystal, let me see. Mary had started to make a comment about the playground. Mary, did you want to speak?
I just want to say I think that's a wonderful idea. You know, kind of exploring maybe fencing in the area around Sunset Lake and maybe adding a little bit more playground equipment. And when the time is feasible, I think it's a great idea to start working on.
Okay. Robin Torpy, did you want to make any comment?
Well, I agree about the fence, but not just for children. There are elderly people too, and some, come in with relatives that, these elderly people could have dementia or something like that, and they can wander too. I know it's happened, and it's a safety precaution, and it might be something good, to have it so nobody gets hurt. I mean, the parking lot is small, the area is small, and it's a beautiful area. And to have the fencing or something in, not to be obstructive, but you can still see the view in the water, and it's very protective. I agree. I'm all for that.
Okay. Good. I do believe that Lynn Valancourt may be on the meeting as an attendee. Stephen, is there any way that you might be able to help? Can I just open her up to allow her to talk?
So what I can do right now, I'm just gonna add her in as a panelist.
Okay.
Oh,
Hi,
hi.
Lynn.
Hang on. Stop my voice.
Are you? I can hear you, Lynn. Is that you?
You can hear me? Oh, okay.
I can now see you too.
I've been here for a little bit, but somehow the meeting, I tried to join by phone at first, and then when I joined the meeting, it would only let me join as a listener, not as a talker.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. No, they pay Zoom meetings. I feel like I'm on the Saturday Night Live skit.
I know. So they're a little unusual for us, but I think in the immediate future, this is what we're going to have for the next month, at least month or maybe longer. So
Yeah.
we pretty much.
I agree. I think as far as the fencing, I do think that it would be really good to have the fencing. One thing I do want to caution before we go ahead and buy more equipment or playground equipment, with COVID being around and not knowing what we will and will not be able to have going forward as far as common equipment, I think we should hold off until we know what the guidelines are going to be from the state or the CDC to find out what things will be appropriate to have in a playground and what they won't be appropriate for a playground with pandemic on.
Great, that's true.
Yep. Also, I co-chair a DPH board it's the Health and Disability Partnership, and one of our members is the person for DPH that oversaw all the Boston playground accessibility for access and inclusion there. So we can pick her brain on stuff if we need to. I've got her contact info because they were looking at playground access from a public health standpoint for, from that angle, but making sure everything in Boston was fully ADA compliant. And I've been to dozens of Boston playgrounds and have yet to find any non-compliant playgrounds at this point. So, because Sophie wanted to visit.
No, it's not an issue of compliance with ADA. It's an issue of compliance with pandemic.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. I'm just saying that this woman has done all this work on playgrounds in Boston from the public health standpoint. So she knows what to do, and what she's done has been done in full compliance, not just slapping.
Yeah, well, I don't think that any of I don't think we've even gotten to the point where we're taking a look at playgrounds yet post-pandemic or in pandemic.
Right. Yeah.
So a lot of the things that have been in place may no longer be appropriate, and they may not be opening certain items of playgrounds based on what the response should be or will be, moving forward, even until next summer.
Honestly, I wouldn't expect this to happen within the next year anyway. We've been waiting for those benches for a while, and a playground is a little bit bigger than a bench. So, I'm thinking moving forward, but that could be a goal. It might not happen for another year or 2 or 3, but we've got funds, and maybe that's an appropriate use of funds. But the next few years, so.
Okay, Lynn, is there anything on the agenda that you did not hear or would want to review again?
Well, I don't want to make people go through again just because of technical glitches. So just move forward from here, and that's no big deal.
Okay, well, we're almost at the end. I think, Crystal, did you have another item that you wanted to speak about?
No, I think that was it. Oh, okay. Have we gotten any calls to like the ADA coordinator regarding people with disabilities needs in the pandemic?
Christina?
No, we haven't. I've been talking to Elder Services about if they need any help with their elder population.
Mhm.
Talking with Rob about, you know, any help that he needs with what they're doing, but I haven't received any calls at all.
Right. So we, on the health department side of things, with our public health nurse, we are in daily communication with all of our long-term care and assisted living facilities, where we have persons that are compromised in many different ways, and working very, very closely with them. As you may understand and know, those establishments are still, at this point, some of them still remain in lockdown, where they're not inviting guests in, and that, I think, will be gradually removed as far as any limitations to being able to see patients or clients that live in the facilities. But at this point, it's still, I think they're limiting those that visit the establishment as far as family members and friends. But we have been in routine communication. We're also working directly with Shamila Biswa, who's with the Department of Elder Affairs, and she has done some assistance with us to help in response for some elders that have some disability issues, that she was able to assist them with a van transport and things like that to medicals during the COVID. So it's a kind of a difficult and unusual situation that everyone's just kind of treading in new water, trying to figure out the best way to help people. And for the example, the van, making sure that not only the clients that Frank was transporting was safe with the COVID response, but also he himself as a driver was in a safe manner too. So we're all kind of, you know, getting used to this new normal that we now are living in. So fortunately, we haven't had many complaints of that nature or concerns of that nature, which we're grateful for. So.
Mary Beth, may I say something? It's Robin.
Sure.
My mother's over at John. My mother's over at John Scott, and I have to tell you, those people have been absolutely wonderful. The place so far as I know, is everybody is negative except for a couple of workers, and it's terrible. I haven't seen my mother since December, but I know for her safety, it's good, and they have been doing FaceTime, and they're really trying hard. And, you know, it's just like you said, Mary Beth, it's a tough situation. But, you know, they are doing what they're supposed to do, and they're very proactive, and they've been in touch with you and everything, and I got to give my props to them for that. And I know my mother's not the easiest person, but she's 93, and she's entitled, you know. But
Right.
Another thing is, did we definitely find out about the closed captioning on the Zoom?
Well, as Stephen had said, that is a feature that is available. Unfortunately, he wasn't aware that it was kind of an oversight for this evening's meeting. It would normally be on. So I know that going forward, Stephen will make sure, as long as we're doing Zoom meetings, that that's an available item.
Okay, yeah, because I do Zoom for other things also. I did my aunt's funeral yesterday, and with the wind blowing, we could hardly hear. And and the temple does it for the Saturday services, and I know the churches do too. And it might help a lot of elder people. So anything you could do, I would appreciate, and thank you very much.
Thanks, Robin. Robin, I wanted to echo your sentiments for long-term care and assisted living facilities. It's been a very long road for those establishments. They have they've had a very difficult time of it, but I will tell you that each and every one of the directors and the staff members at those facilities have been absolutely excellent to work with.
Yes, I know, because I've been in touch with them, you know, when they call, and they keep everybody up to date, and they just have been wonderful. And I tell you right now, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes to do it. You know, it's hard, and God bless them. That's all I have to say. God bless them for being out there.
Right. So that's all we have on the agenda at this point. I didn't know if anyone else had any topics they'd like to discuss. No? Okay. Mary, are you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay. Okay. Well, if that's it, so we have for the next agenda, we'll look into, Crystal, the Sunset Lake Playground area and get more information for the members. And although Lynn brings up a very great point, a really valid point about COVID, but we can try and get some items, you know, just some thoughts together for you and present that to you. Yeah. So And if that's it, then if there's a motion to adjourn, I'd need a motion, a second, and then a roll call.
I like the motion.
And I'll
Motion.
second.
Good. Okay, and then a roll call. Lynn? Just need a
Here.
yes.
Yes?
And Crystal?
Here.
Yep, just a yes, yep.
Yep.
Mary?
Yes.
And Robin?
Yes.
Okay, so that is it. We are adjourning the meeting at 7:24 p.m. Thank you very much, and we hope you all and your families continue to stay well and safe. And if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Stay
Okay.
healthy.
Please let me know if you're having any problem with connecting to Zoom or anything. It seemed like tonight we had some glitches to work out, but moving forward, if you have any concerns, let us know. And Stephen has been absolutely fabulous in helping us get through all of that.
I do a Zoom meeting every month. We always do, and we have deaf people on it. So we have, and then we have CART going in addition to the captioning, and then we have ASL terps. That's a fun mess of trying to coordinate getting the deaf person, because it's supposed to trigger to who's speaking. So it goes over to ASL terp, and we have to keep redirecting the person who's deaf to be on the camera versus the interpreter. It's a hot mess, but we get through it.
I'm glad I don't have, I'm not having to be involved in all that. Stephen.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
Stephen is
major
our Zoom
technical stuff.
guru,
And we
so.
permanently do Zoom. This isn't just because of pandemic. We do this Zoom call once a month and an in-person meeting with Health and Human Services monthly. But it's like, it's a big mess when you're trying to coordinate interpreters to not be popping up on the screen instead of the deaf people.
Right.
So.
Well, I thank you all very much for tuning in and participating. And again, hope you all stay well, you and your families.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.